Hi everyone, welcome back to our video tutorial series. In this part, we will finish the authentication for our Angular application. Good, now let's make some simple bindings here. We can use reactive forms or we can use template-driven forms. For the sake of the tutorial, in order not to overcomplicate this example, I will use simple forms. Form module. And now we can use ng model here, and we say user email, and here ng model, user password, and both are required. Typo required. Good. And here now we will create a object. Actually, we will also need a user. Yes. Maybe we should create here a auth folder with auth module just for future, and this will be a module. No components here, auth module, and now we can create a user folder, and let's call it user DTO, or no, not the best name. Let's just see what were the conventions that we used previously. So services, okay, we have created data models, we use data models. Let's do the same thing here. Let's create a new folder, data model, and we will create a new interface, user login, and this will be an interface user login. It will have an email string and a password string, like that. Yeah, good. Maybe later we will change it while we build more and more complicated modules. All right, the module here is just for the structure. Actually, you even don't need it for now, but we will later use it, so let's just keep it. Now let's go back to our login component. Let's create a public user, which is user login, and it's actually at the beginning it's a empty object of type user login, like that. So this part is actually required so that the TypeScript compilator is not arguing about the types. And we can remove here the declaration of type because we already initialize it with a type. So TypeScript will know that this should be of type user login. Now we've made the binding here. Now let's also wrap the content into a form, and actions, CRUD actions will be also part of the form. Here we will say that this form is equals to a ng form. We will need it for validation. And here on the button, on click, submit, we will call submit, and we will provide the form. Let's create a method here. we will receive a form of type ngForm. And now if form is valid, let's just console log out the, well, actually we don't need to console log the data, but we need to create perhaps a service, and yeah, it can actually be here inside the user. So we will create a folder services, we'll create a new TypeScript file user service, and a new TypeScript file user resource. Good. Now remember, we have created those things in the blog. For posts, we have a post resource and a post service. Good. Now back to user service. User resource, let's create a class, a service. Let's call it user resource. It will actually have, a method. No, we can make a method for signing in a user inside the user resource, but I think we will have a auth resource on the backend side, so let's not use it here. Maybe we don't need the user resource for now. We actually need, yeah, we don't need this for now. We need a service, a auth service. And the user is actually, we put it into the common. So this will be two modules. This will be a user module, just for later, user module. Like that, a module. And we don't need this, and we don't need this. We just give it a name, user module. Good. Now we can use the auth module, and we will make a service, auth service. Yeah, and a service. Here we will have a public method sign in a user, which will be, yes, this can be login, user login interface, and this will return a observable, and the type of the observable will be actually the user authorization token. Now let's create a DTO here. Let's create TypeScript file, auth token. Well, it's not a DTO, it's just a interface, auth token. And the auth token should look like auth token, interface, auth token. It should have a expires in field, which will be of type number, and a token that will be of type string. Okay, good. Now back to our auth service. We will also need a auth resource, because there will be a new resource in our NestJs application that we will access, and we'll have the same name, user, and we provide user login here, and we will return a observable of type auth token. Good. Now let's just pretend we make a call. We will just mock it for now because we don't have yet the resource in our NestJs application. So we do return from, and we provide a mocked object, or we don't need from, we can use of. We can use of, and it will have a expires in field. No, let's give it some time, and a token, which will be a secret token string. All right, now we have mocked this method just for the case, while we don't have any resources yet, but we need to test the logic on the client side. Now back to our auth service. This will call, this will actually inject the service, the resource, auth resource, and now we call this resource sign in user, and we provide the user itself. Good. Now providers, auth resource, provider, and auth service. And later I guess we might need the HTTP, the HTTP client module. And it will be required here. Like that. And this will have a private read-only, read-only URL, which will point to, well, wait a second, we have a object, a configuration object, I think, inside the block. Yeah, we have API config. We can move it actually to the common folder, just for now, but you should use environment variables for the configurations. Good. So it's arguing, yeah, it's arguing in here. Where is our common auth? We need to finish this. Auth resource will be a API config plus, and we say auth. So this here, this URL will point to our backend resource. But for now, we are returning a mock data. When we have our resource in the Nest application, we will just replace this mock data with a real HTTP client call with this URL. Anyway, let's see what he does in auth service TS. Generic type of requires one type argument. Oh, really? Auth service TS? Where does require it? I don't see it. Oh yeah, because we say observable, and observable returns in the observable of type auth token. Good. So it should be cool now. Auth service. Hello. Don't like it? Everything. Well, let's just restart it. Come on. ng serve. Good. So we have made this, we have made the auth service, and what we can do, we can now add a private method, that will store our token in the local storage or in the session storage. Oh, what will be the name of this method? Store token. As simple as it is. Now, it will accept a auth token string object. And now what it will do, let's also make some keys for the storage, private, read-only, auth, well, auth storage key, and this will be, I don't know, auth token. Good. Now we take the auth token and we say local storage set item, and we do a JSON stringify auth token. And I've misspelled the auth token. Good. So that's a valid number of arguments expected 2. Oh yeah. So the set item, we can set now the item inside our local storage. We take the name of the item inside it from here, this auth storage key, and the value will be a stringified JSON value of the auth token. So we will store it inside our local storage. Now we need a method to clear it. I think we can have it private, and what it will do, it will actually call local storage and remove item auth this auth storage key, something like that. All right, it should actually work. We are almost done here. So when we call sign in, we want the auth service to set the local storage with the auth token when he gets a positive response. So we say pipe, and we tap on a success, and we do this here, auth token, this set store token, auth token. Yeah, perfectly. Also, we want a public logout method that will clear the token, and then we want some automation here, private read-only router, and we say that when we clear the token, please navigate to the login page, like that. Good. Well, this is a basic, very simple auth service that doesn't have much logic here, and maybe doesn't use the best practices, but this is a way to go, the minimum way to go. Now what we also want, we want to be able to load the token from our local storage, and it will return a auth token, and we say we need to try return the local storage get item, and I will explain why we try to do this. Auth storage. Now the auth storage, the item might be the item is actually a JSON string. We need to parse it, and while we parse, if the value inside the string is not a valid JSON, we will catch an error, and this is exactly what we trying to do. We try to catch a error here. Oops. Well, we can actually throw a warning or error bad JSON format for the token item. Good. All right. So this method can be used a little bit later, but we can now go back to our login component, and we can now the auth module. Do we import it somewhere? I don't think so. We don't import it here. We will import it here. Auth module. And this will require HTTP client module. Yes, it requires it. What else does it use? Oh, it uses the router module, I guess. But yeah, well, let's see if it works. Whoops. And now in the login component, we use private read-only auth service. And if the form is valid, we do this auth service sign in this user, and we can subscribe to it. Oops. And we can console log a response. So now let's try. And you see we get a response. And if we look at the application tab, oh, it doesn't store. It doesn't store. Something went wrong. Let's see why it doesn't store the token. Our auth service should store this star token. It should actually store it. And something went wrong here. Alright, let's debug this here. Alright, we get it twice. It should actually store. Yeah, now it stores. I know maybe it was a lag or a cache issue, but now you see the key was actually stored inside our storage, local storage. Good. So one more thing I would like to do. You see, I can click as many times as I want, and I will make a lot of requests until I get a response here. So we will disable the button, and we will add a progress bar. Let's do it. And login. I think mat progress bar. Let's see how it looks like, and the mode is indeterminate. Let's see how it looks like. Oops. Yes, good. And another thing, we need a field public is loading false by default, and here it will be set to true. And when we finish everything, even on error, we use finalize. Yes. Come on, import it. We finalize with this is loading, false. Good. Oops. Good. And actually what I think, the auth service sign in method should not return any value. So because we set it, so we say now we will use map. I don't want this method to return the token because it will be set in our local storage. And we set the token and now we just return. So this will be void because we don't want to return anything. We just set the storage, the token, and that's it. Right. Now, if we had a successful sign-in attempt, we can actually use the router and we can now navigate to whatever page we want. It will be actually a shorter subscribe. We say this router navigate, and we want to navigate to block list. Oh, sorry. List, like that. All right. We are almost done with the login page component. Let's just, oh yeah. One more thing here. The login, the progress bar, use ngIf is loading, and we disable this button if is loading. If the if is loading is false, this button is disabled. Let's see. Submit. Okay, we need this. Test password, and something went wrong. We got a result. Oh yes, hold on, let's debug this one. So on submit, we go to the login component. Let's just rename it the method on submit. We also don't need the on init. We remove this and rename it here form. All right. And if form is valid, okay, maybe the form is not valid. Form valid. Let's check. That it is actually valid because we already the method is being called. Submit. Yeah, it's valid. All right. Now we subscribe, and here the router should navigate here. And on finalize, we don't load anything. Is loading. It's correct? Yes, this is correct. This is also correct. Oh yeah, I see what's happening. If we go to our guard, where is our guard? Let's see, block guard. We are always unauthorized. Now we can now try and do some basic authorization or guard. So the easiest way for this tutorial is to check if we have a token inside our local storage. Now let's see if we have a method for that. We don't have. Let's see, let's just use public. Let's create a new method. I'm thinking is authorized, and we will return this get load token. No, wait a second. Yes, load token. And this returns a boolean. Therefore, we need to check is empty. And we say if this is not empty, then is authorized. All right. Now we can use the auth service inside the guard. Oh, I've lost it again. Here. So we can use the auth service like that. And here now we can say this auth service is authorized. And let's remove this and let's check it. So now I do have a auth token. So it would be possible for me to go to the block list. And you see, while I have this token inside my local storage, well, guys, this is not the best way, not the most secured way of doing this. I'm just showing the basic implementation. But anyway, if I have this token inside my local storage, this page is available for me. Now, let's remove the token and refresh it. You see, we are redirected to the login form because we have no token. If we provide now, if we make a new login attempt and submit it, we are automatically redirected to the block list because we had a response, which is for now mocked, and we have stored the data inside our local storage. Good, let's just clean up it really quick. Let's remove this unnecessary console log. Console log. And we will remove this one. And actually, this is it for this part. I don't want to make long parts more than 30 minutes. So in the next part, we will work on the backend side implementation of this authentication. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next part.